Hey, welcome back to the show. We're keeping it real, goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Sports Talk with the return of the one, the only, the always effervescent Andrew. Welcome back, Andrew.
How we doing? How we doing?
We're good, man. 62 episodes in.
Crazy, right?
Wild as shit. Wild as shit.
Time flies, dude.
It's almost like yesterday we were on a Zoom call, you, me, and Johnny, doing this damn thing because we were bored as hell during COVID. And here
You
we
know
are.
what? Any kid that was born that day is not a year and a half old. They're 63 episodes old. That's how we're going to refer to
62
that kid.
episodes old.
62
episodes old. If you were
episodes
born on, I think it was like April 21st. If you were born on April 21st, 2021,
2020.
22, well, 2020. Yeah. If you were born on April 21st, 2020, you were officially a Real Take baby. And
You
yeah,
are 62 episodes old.
you were 62 episodes old. And however old Yeah, you guys get it. Anyway, welcome back to the show. We're keeping it real, goes right. So much to talk about. We got Aaron Rodgers caught lying to the NFL. Potential repercussions about that. We'll also talk about what the effect of him not being there on Sunday is going to have after he tested positive. The Braves winning the World Series, which Andrew is going to be very glad to talk about. We're also going to be talking about other news from the NFL. Andrew will ask you some questions about the Knicks and how their future is going to be. OBJ potentially not going to be around for much longer, college football rankings, and much, much, much more. But before we get to any of that, please hit that like button. It helps out the algorithm. It helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Andrew, let's kick things off with a topic that is close, near, and dear to both of our hearts, and one that we feel actually quite different about because of the circumstances behind it. So let's get to it. The Atlanta Braves are now World Series champions, their first World Series win since the year of our Lord 1995. There's been a lot of talk about the Braves throughout the season. They lost a lot of their key players, but they made big time moves to save their season at the trade deadline, unlike my Nats. And here they are. They beat the Astros in 6 games. Jorge Soler won the MVP. He played lights out in this entire series. Andrew, I'm just going to start with the obvious. We'll get to how your personal feelings are about this, but what does this win mean for the city of Atlanta, for this specific Braves team, and what got them to this point?
Well, for Brian Snitker, their coach, I think they were alluding to it last night. He's been doing it either 30 or 40 years. Like, he's been with that organization. He was coaching minor league ball for so long. He got the when I think it was Gonzalez was the old manager. He got the promotion when they let Gonzalez go. And I feel good for him. You know what? He's paid his dues and everything like that. And it's about time he got it. Same thing with Ron Washington. Ron Washington's their third base coach. Ron Washington. Do you know how many times I watched Ron Washington? Ron Washington was 1 out away from being a world champion with the Texas Rangers before the St. Louis Cardinals decided to be the luckiest team in baseball and come back, hit a game tying, then hit a game winning, and then go back the next night to win the World Series. So I was happy for those guys. Some of the other guys, they overcame a lot of adversity. Freddie Freeman, listen, as much as any fan of a National League East team that's not the Braves, they all kind of have to hate each other. Freddie Freeman has to be the most likable player, ever. Like, you can't hate him. Like, if you even watch, the documentary that ESPN made about him, the short one, you can't hate him. Like, he's overcome so much. He's a class act dude. Really good baseball player. How would I describe him as, a baseball player? He's not chirpy, but at the same time, he can energize you. He's a player who hits for average, but will still hit 30 home runs.
He's so charismatic, and his aura is almost infectious on the team. I totally get what you mean. Yeah.
He's not an outspoken guy, but at the same time, he energizes you without saying a word. He's just, personally, I would love to have him on our team. Unfortunately, we already have Pete Alonso, the polar bear, who's the future. So that dude's going to get paid this offseason, though. I know I was pissed off at Joe Buck for saying in what could be his final at bat with the Atlanta Braves when he hit that home run. I pissed off at Joe Buck for saying that because it's like, yo,
well,
let the Braves fans enjoy it.
Everyone gets pissed off at Joe Buck for everything. Deservedly
Every word
so.
that comes out of his mouth. Hats off to the Braves.
Yeah, absolutely. Hats off to the Braves. This is a team that's going to be defined, and this whole season for them is going to be defined according with adjustments that they made after key players went down with injury, acquiring all those pieces, acquiring people like Soler, who came through big time in the biggest moment again in the World Series. I think that is going to define this team. They did such a great job against. Honestly, we'll talk about them in a minute. This Houston Astros team, which was a great team, Suns cheating, whatever, they were a great team, and they were still the underdogs. A lot of people thought this Braves team was going into it. They were still able to pull out the win versus Houston. You got to give them their props. And now, Andrew, I believe it's your turn to not give them their props and tell us how you honestly feel about this, because I know there's some bitter feelings. People probably know this. Longtime watchers of the show or listeners of the show will know this. I'm a Nats fan. You're a Mets fan. We are not inclined to like the Atlanta Braves at all. I hate the Atlanta Braves. However, for me, this entire series, I had to just basically eat my peas, whatever you want to say, because I'd be damned if the Houston Astros, after what they did a few years ago, I'll be damned if they're going to come back a few years later and I'm going to have to hear Astros fans say, oh, well, we won the series anyway, like 2 years later. I'll be damned if I was going to hear that. No. The thing is, I think a lot of people came around this Braves team specifically. Most of America actually came around this Braves team, whether you liked the Braves or you didn't. They came around this team specifically because they were playing the Houston Astros. It'd be a completely different story if they were playing the Yankees, completely different story if they were playing the Red Sox, whoever. But the Houston Astros are just so toxic in the realm of baseball that any team that goes up against them is automatically now America's team. I know you feel a little differently than I do, and I understand how you feel, but tell the people how this makes you feel as a Mets fan.
So I saw something on Twitter today. I sent it to the group chat. Since the year 2000, I was born in 1996. Since the year 2000, I had to watch the Marlins win in 2003, the Phillies win in 2008, the Nationals win in 2019, and now Atlanta win in 2021. The Marlins have not been back to the World Series since 2003. The Phillies have not been back to the World Series since 2009 when they lost to the Yankees. The Nationals went only once, and won it in 2019. Atlanta has been knocking at the door. They finally finished the job. Have not been to the World Series since 1999. I'll get into that too. Atlanta won it. And in that time period, my Mets have been there twice and lost both times since the year 2000. First time, Yankee dynasty. All right, we got a pass for that. No one was beating that.
Yep.
That's why, hence the dynasty. The second time though, Jerry's still out. I still think the Royals were cheating. It's solely speculation, but
how were the Royals cheating again? How were they cheating?
So there was some speculation. There were some tweets that came out from a credible source a few months ago, who he later deleted his tweets afterwards. He was one of the dudes who started bringing up the whole spider tax stuff, talking about how pitchers velos and a lot of their. He was mentioning how like
everyone's cheating.
2015 was the first year that the Royals did introduce a little film room that was right next to the dugout, very accessible to players and everything like that. So the jury's still out on whether they actually used it in game. I don't know. Jury's still out on that. But yeah, there was that. As a Mets fan, I wasn't happy to see that, given the way the last like 20-something years has gone, 20 years of failure. You know what? I also found out today from listening to Sports Talk Radio. Since the Mets last won a championship in 1986, you know how many times they've been to the playoffs since 1986?
Can I guess?
Yeah, guess.
I'm going to say 5 times.
6.
Okay.
In a
since 1986. That's bad. All right. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I just thought about that.
Talk about down bad, right? And in that span, all their division rivals have won championships except them. That's pretty bad.
It's horrendous for you. I feel bad. I look, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I think, look, if I was in your position, if the Nats had not won that World Series, that amazing World Series run we had in 2019, if we didn't win that, I might actually feel the same way you do. That might have been the only thing that would have trumped my hate, my absolute disgust for the Houston Astros. But we didn't, so I don't. So like that's the thing for me. Last
And when
thing
I
on
found
this,
out that Patty Mahomes became a part owner of the Kansas City Royals, which is where Jorge Soler came from, I remember tweeting at this man. Of course, he didn't acknowledge it, but I tweeted at Patrick Mahomes, and I basically told him, I'm like, listen, Pat, we know you're a lifelong Mets fan. We know that even though you are a part owner of the Royals, the Mets is still near and dear, close to your heart. His father was a member of the team that went to the World Series in 2000, everything like that.
True.
I basically told him the day after he became an owner, I was like, hey, man, listen, I want Jorge Soler in Queens by next week. He didn't do it.
So who do we blame for the Mets' failure this year?
Everyone.
Patrick Mahomes. Everyone affiliated
GM,
in
the GM, the owner, the coaching staff, everyone. Just everyone.
Last question about the World Series, Andrew. What does this do for the Houston Astros? What does this mean for them, their legacy, and Astros fans out there?
Well, number one, they have a decision to make because there's a particular golden boy from the Houston Astros that's entering free agency, and he literally only signed a 1-year contract with them so that he could enter free agency after this season. Mm-hmm. And basically, even though Altuve is the heart and soul of that team, we all know who the best player of that team is, who the face kind of has been, in Carlos Correa. Yep. And basically, given the tainted legacy that they're going to have, losing a player like Correa, I don't know if they necessarily bounce back from that, given how one of their rivals, being the Yankees, could be in play for Correa. I could see Correa coming to New York, whether it's the Yankees or the Mets personally. His two boys are already in New York. We could just put that Team Puerto Rico infield back together. It still won't do shit because the Mets will find a way to fuck it up. Yeah. But the Astros, that legacy, it's a pretty tainted legacy. And in all honesty, even though a lot of teams are behind them looking up, I could see them falling back down to earth. Not too much, but I don't see them being like this perennial contender that they have been. They'll be a steady playoff team, but dude, if you kept track of the way some of these teams went, Anaheim has been slowly getting better with Ohtani, Mike Trout, Seattle, that young Seattle team who nobody thought would win more than 60 games. The last game of the season, Seattle was in contention for that second wild card spot. So they have teams like that are going to be coming up. So they're going to take a step back. I think Houston, not too much of a step back. They'll still probably be the top dog in the division. But between Oakland, who is always there, and the jump that Seattle's probably going to make with that young team, they better watch themselves because without Correa, they will take a step back, and they're going to have to replace him. And you just don't replace a player like Correa. Like that's an all-world. He's one of like the top players, probably the best shortstop in the game. You just don't replace a guy like that.
The thing with the Astros is, like, let's get past all of the bullshit. Like, yes, we hate the Astros. Yes. Okay, boom. You take that out. It's a non-factor. You look at this baseball team from top to bottom. Without Correa, this team is in danger of falling into a place where I think a lot of, really good teams end up being after a few years. You can't stay on top for too long. You can't stay at the top, and you can't be as dominant as they have been for. You can only be that for so long. And we're finding that out in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's going to happen, I think, to the Houston Astros sooner rather than later, especially if they lose Correa. So for them, they're in a weird place because they now have this tainted legacy, like you said. They have this legacy of just, being a shit show of an organization that people don't particularly like, an organization that, they're in the news a lot for the wrong reasons. And you got to take into account, how is this going to affect the way people might view them in free agency? How is that going to affect the way that people might view, that fans might view them? And I think this is a team that's going to be not in a rebuild mode, but I think in sort of flux. We've seen them go to the World Series 4 times in the past few years or something like that. They have been one of the more dominant teams by hook or by crook. Sometimes they have been one of the more dominant teams, but I think this is the beginning of kind of that downturn. It's not a downward spiral, but it is definitely going to be, I think, a little bit of a. They're not like it's a slow decline. It's a slow decline. They might get to a certain level and then come back up because they're one of those organizations that I think that have a great farm system. They usually are very good at making those types of moves in free agency or via trade and scouting that type of talent. But I think the days of the Houston Astros just being a, boom, oh, yeah, they're going to be, like, top team in the American League. Like, there's a lot of up-and-coming teams. Boston got a lot better throughout the year last year. We talked about the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We talked about a lot of these teams, man. Like, there's some teams on the come up.
Division. They got Seattle within their division, dude. Seattle, all those dudes are like our age on Seattle. Like literally, the whole team is like our age, and they were one game away from that playoff spot.
And you can't deny the fact God could not have put Mike Trout on this earth not to win a playoff series before he retires. If that would be the cruelest thing to happen in sports. If Mike Trout retires without winning a playoff series, that would be the cruelest thing to ever happen.
I mean, he did do it to Felix Hernandez. So Felix Hernandez might actually be the greatest pitcher to never pitch in a playoff game. So
yeah, there we go. But you heard it here first. The Houston Astros. Watch out for that decline. Watch your bets, people. Definitely watch your bets. You don't want to start betting on the wrong teams.
They could definitely win the division next year, but in terms of just the last couple of years, just they've dominated. They've swept through the playoffs on the route to the World Series and everything like that. Like, don't expect that out of them next year. Like, they definitely will take a step back. Not a drastic one, but it's not going to be as easy as it's been for them the last couple of years.
I got a question. Did you see the odds for did you see who is the favorite for the World Series next year? Guess.
Oh, it's
the
Dodgers again. It's the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's the Dodgers. It's always going to be the Dodgers. The Dodgers are like the Yankees of the NL. Like that's just what they're.
That's literally what it is. In a perfect world, I remember I was talking to my buddy about this a few years ago. Realistically, in a perfect world, the World Series every year, if it went based off of talent, the World Series every year realistically would be the Yankees and the Dodgers every year, which is why baseball is so cool, because it's not. It hasn't been in 60 years. Probably never will. I mean, I'm not gonna say never say never, but
you never know. You never know. The Dodgers have made it a few times. The Yankees made it once in the past few years. Like it could happen. It could totally happen. But that's to be seen. We'll pay close attention to that. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos are released. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. Leave your questions in the chat also. We love to answer your questions. Love to see what's on your guys' mind. Andrew, you know what's on my mind right now?
Aaron Rodgers.
That bad man from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Aaron Rodgers was seemingly caught in a lie. The defending MVP this week tested positive. He is going to be out this Sunday's game. Jordan Love will get the start. It was revealed also that Aaron Rodgers was in fact not vaccinated. He actually claimed that he was back in August. He claimed that he was immunized. This has gotten a lot of people talking, but before we get to any of that, let's take a listen to Aaron Rodgers claiming that he was vaccinated from back in August. Let's take a listen to that.
Aaron, you said you like to learn as many things as you can and hang in any conversation. Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized. There's a lot of conversation around it, around the league, and a lot of guys who have made statements and I've made statements, owners who made statements. There's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys. There's guys who have been vaccinated that contracted COVID. So it's an interesting issue.
So Rodgers, like I said, tested positive this week, and the reason why he's going to be out this Sunday, the reason why he's potentially could miss next week's game against Seattle is because of his unvaccinated status. We found out that he, in fact, was not vaccinated. Instead, he tried to submit some home remedies as immunizations, which the NFL later denied. And it's caused a firestorm of controversy, obviously. And a lot of people are saying that he got caught in a lie. I'm going to address that first one before you get to that, Andrew. I think we can both agree he definitely got caught in a lie. Because if someone asks you up front, whether or not you agree with the vaccine, I don't care. But if someone asks you up front, hey, are you vaccinated up for COVID? You know what he's talking about. Don't just say, "Oh, I'm immunized," and then just like act like you told them the truth. You didn't. You lied. And again, it's not even so much as a problem of him not getting the vaccine. That's his personal choice, right? But for you to go out there and lie, knowing what people thought, it doesn't make you look good. It doesn't make your team look good. I think it puts your team in a situation where they might not have been prepared for that because remember, the rules for players who are vaccinated versus players who are unvaccinated are different as far as how that COVID protocol goes. So I think we can agree he was caught in a lie. But Andrew, what do you kind of make of the controversy as a whole? You know, we'll talk about the impact it'll have on the Packers in just a minute, but what do you make of just the way this is played out? Because you could argue from a PR perspective, this looks pretty bad.
It definitely does, especially with the whole lying thing and everything like that. This is a guy that, Aaron Rodgers is a brand ambassador for the NFL, basically. Like, won the MVP. Like, how many commercials has Aaron Rodgers been in the past couple of years? State Farm guy and everything like that. This is a bad look for the brand and everything like that. It's like you have to ask yourself. It's like, I mean, what else has he lied about then? It's like I don't even know. Like you could nitpick and all that stuff. It's just not a good look for the brand and everything, especially with something like that critical. Like he's got to sit out now because of the whole. He's got to sit out now because of the whole COVID thing, and that's dumb. Like it's counterintuitive. It hurts his team because losing Aaron Rodgers is that's not just your average quarterback. Like that's
your team.
This dude won the MVP last year for a reason. Like there's a reason why they fought tooth and nail to try to kind of make things right with him. Aaron Rodgers is one of those dudes like you really just can't replace, and they're gonna be without him for the next couple of weeks. So definitely not a good look on his end. Definitely not.
Yeah, not a good look. And, it's worth to note that he's not the only, MVP caliber quarterback who hasn't gotten the shot. Lamar Jackson and other guys, a Ravens fan, I've been keeping a close eye on that. But the thing is...
Cam? I think they just made Cam, literally just announced, recently that he's vaccinated now.
He might have. So that's another big-name quarterback. But I think... The issue is, and I think Matt LaFleur addressed this by saying it was Aaron's personal decision, which it is. And I am not going to get into the debate about vaccinated versus unvaccinated on this show right now. I think the bigger deal here is that it was just a bold-faced lie. And, you can say, well, that wouldn't have mattered anyway because he still would have missed this game. You're right. But I think the people probably would have treated him differently had this information been out there. I think because, and look, you can't just go around lying to people saying you're vaccinated when you're really not. I think that's a shitty thing to do in general. Just be honest about it if you're asked about it. Or he could have just said, I'm not going to reveal that information right now. Everyone's entitled to their privacy. I'm not going to tell anyone whether I'm vaccinated. You're not going to, Andrew, you don't need to tell anyone. Okay. But that's not what it's about. It's about the fact that he lied and he got caught. And it's that simple. Now, Andrew, as far as the impact this is going to have on the team, Aaron Rodgers is going to miss this Sunday's game. We're going to see Jordan Love. We'll talk about Love in just a second, but man, what is the impact going to be not having Aaron Rodgers in the lineup, not having what he brings, that ability to just score at will in the 2-minute drill, probably the greatest 2-minute drill in NFL history. how is this going to impact the Packers?
I mean, that's huge, dude. Like, I understand they're playing Kansas City. Kansas City's a team that can put up points, even though that defense, they're playing flag football in that secondary in Kansas City. Because they can't tackle, they can't cover nobody. It's just, there's a big drop off when you go from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Nothing against Jordan Love, like we still don't know much about him. And I look back to like the Cardinals game, right? When you want to think about the impact that losing Aaron Rodgers as opposed to like, having like Devontae Adams, for example, is you could bring back Devontae Adams. They're still going to have the running back, Jones, Aaron Jones and everything
Aaron
like
Jones.
That. They don't beat Arizona without Aaron Rodgers. They don't beat Arizona without Aaron Rodgers with, his ability to control tempo, be a game manager, be a gamer, be a playmaker, be all that stuff. They don't win that game. Whereas, they won that game with Aaron Rodgers, but without Devontae Adams. Now you're basically saying like the next game, even though it's Kansas City can score points, but they can't stop nobody. Yeah. Even though you're bringing back Devontae Adams and everything like that, not having Aaron Rodgers, like that's a big deal. Think about if they would have played that game against Arizona without Aaron Rodgers, but with Devontae Adams. They probably lose that game.
There would have been a whole different scenario in that game.
They probably lose by about 20 points. I'm serious. They probably lose that game by about 20 points. That's how much of an impact this is. Don't be surprised if Kansas City, I don't know who the favorite is in that game, but don't be surprised if Kansas City, manhandles them. Like, they will obviously put points up because one thing we've seen from Kansas City this year is teams that struggle to score. And this is like Jordan Love's real, like, first NFL, like, game. Like, he's starting for, like, probably the first time in his career. Mm-hmm. Like, think about what happened to Washington, right? Think about what happened to Washington when they played Kansas City. Kansas City made mistakes, but because Washington's offense was so inept without a real quarterback, they got destroyed by Kansas City, despite the mistakes that Kansas City made. It could be the same thing with this. Even though they have talent at the wide receiver, Aaron Jones is one of the best running backs in the game and everything like that. Mm-hmm. If your quarterback can't bring it all together and everything like that, they're going to get run off the field and blown out by Kansas City.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers' impact cannot be understated in this game. I think it's going to be, they are lucky. They are lucky they're playing Kansas City. And let's just get into the whole Jordan Love thing because it is going to be the big question looming over this game. Former first-round pick, Packers quarterback Jordan Love will be getting his first start this Sunday against the Chiefs. The team, because of Aaron Rodgers' positive test, won't have him potentially for 2 games. Blake Bortles was signed to the team's practice squad. He could be elevated as the backup to Jordan Love this Sunday against the Chiefs. Andrew, how big of a test is this for Jordan Love? There's been so much talk for the past few years. What does he look like? We didn't have the preseason for his rookie year. We had one this year, and he looked efficient. But again, it's preseason. But how big of a test is this game against the Chiefs going to be for Jordan Love?
I mean, it's a lot bigger than people might think it is, dude. It's his first real start. Even though Kansas City has been struggling, look at the teams that Kansas City has, like really struggled against. Like, even though Kansas City did struggle against the Giants, but it did pull out the win and everything like that. All right, cool. But these other teams that Kansas City struggled against, Tennessee, Buffalo, who was the other one? Even Baltimore, Baltimore and everything like that. Kansas City struggled against a team like that, but Kansas City can still put points on the board, and that's one thing that Mahomes is going to be able to put points on the board. Tyreek Hill, they're going to get up for this game, especially knowing that it's a rookie quarterback. It's a rookie quarterback, and even though Kansas City might not have the same appeal that they used to have and everything like that, if this is a rookie quarterback going up against, that's still the defending AFC champions, won a Super Bowl little over a year ago and everything like that, you'll get your first start against that, even though they are struggling, that's tough. Like, you might see Jordan Love press. You might see Jordan Love, it'll probably end up being Jordan Love versus Jordan Love. As much as and Matt LaFleur, it's Matt LaFleur's job to try to handle all that stuff. As much as I love Matt LaFleur and everything like that, we saw Mike McCarthy without Aaron Rodgers, how good of a coach he was, even though Dallas did win without Dak. But we saw how good of a coach Mike McCarthy was. Like, Aaron Rodgers really covered up a lot of the ineptitudes of Mike McCarthy all those years in Green Bay. We're going to learn a lot, not just about Jordan Love, but we're going to learn a lot about LaFleur because
and Gutekunst, the GM.
We're going to learn a lot because, they did trade up for this kid. They did say this kid is the future after Aaron Rodgers, who might not be in Green Bay after this year. We're going to learn a lot because.
Yep. Yeah. I agree with you. And I think for the reasons you laid out, 2 years ago in the draft, the Green Bay Packers essentially said, we feel comfortable enough with Jordan Love, this guy out of UCLA, to have him be the back or the starter in waiting. They're very similar to that Brett Favre situation they had a few years ago. That's how confident they were about Jordan Love. And when you take a guy in the first round, when you trade up for a guy in the first round while you have your franchise quarterback already, the MVP quarterback on the roster, that's a big deal because that means you are looking to the future. And this game is going to be, for the Packers, in one sense, for Jordan Love, it's the biggest test of his life. Because if he goes out there and he plays well and he's poised and he looks like an NFL quarterback, then I think the Aaron Rodgers future, no matter how great he plays, and he has been playing great this season, I think his future is kind of like written in stone at this point as far as him leaving Green Bay and then Jordan Love being the guy. If he doesn't, and this is where it might actually work in Green Bay's benefit, if whatever case, Jordan Love goes out there and shits the bed and is just plays the worst game of his life and just doesn't look like an NFL quarterback, then for the Packers, you got to test. You got a test ride of your new car to see if that's what you want to actually buy and invest in for the next few years. So I think, and there's a lot of incentive, like you said, with Matt LaFleur and Gutekunst, good old Getkins up there in Green Bay to make it look to make this successful. They are going to look like two of the biggest imbeciles in the world if Jordan Love goes out there and shits the bed. Not that I want that for Jordan Love, but that's just the truth. And if you're Jordan Love, and I think this is where it's important, what you're looking for this Sunday, if you're a Green Bay fan or if you're someone who's evaluating Jordan Love, what you want to look for from him is similar to what you saw out of younger quarterbacks like Mac Jones. You want to see something like you see out of Trevor Lawrence and these other young quarterbacks, Justin Fields this past Sunday. You want to see that they're poised. Whether or not the team is playing well around them, you want to see that no matter the situation is, they might throw a pick, they come back, and they're able to stay poised, which is what a lot of younger quarterbacks, especially these days, have been able to do. They have more confidence, and I think that tends to be depending on the team. No one is more incentivized to set up Jordan Love to be in a better situation than Matt LaFleur. No one knows him better than Matt LaFleur. So I have every reason to believe he's going to at least play with poise. But if he doesn't, man, the Green Bay is going to have some decisions to make in the offseason. But he's also lucky, though, that he's playing the Chiefs. Like that is like the biggest luck thing because the Chiefs are just not playing well on defense. Say what you want about the offense. Like, that offense can get hot at any game. I think they actually will eventually, put it together. But the Chiefs' defense is absolute hot garbage right now.
Oh, they're playing flag football, dude. They're playing flag football in that secondary. They can't cover. They can't tackle. They can't do anything in that secondary. Outside of Tyrann Mathieu, nobody in that secondary can really do anything. It's pretty bad.
Do you see that meme of who's it's Sorensen, right? The safety they got back there with Tyrann Mathieu, Sorensen.
Yeah.
It's like there's a meme where it's 5 plays and it's just Sorensen blowing coverage and Tyrann Mathieu looking at him with his hands up like this. Oh my God. It's all season long. That's what that team has been. Just all season long. But hey, man, Aaron Rodgers, even though you lied, get well, brother. Jordan Love, good luck, brother. The Chiefs, too, good luck. That defense is definitely going to need it. I don't care who they're playing against. Apparently, they need help with everyone they're playing. And you know what? I also need help. I need you guys to...
They got so lucky. The Chiefs got so lucky that the Giants suck. If the Giants didn't suck and they were not playing that game at Arrowhead, if that game was played at MetLife, they lose that game, by the way.
Yeah. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos are released. We have some comments in the chat. Liam27, who I've not seen for a long time, says hello. Hello, Liam. Sophia NYC is in the chat. Omer, I don't watch baseball, only X Games and volleyball and football, but are you going live tonight for Dynamite? Considering the time right now, it is 7:35. I will definitely not be going live for Dynamite. I'll tell you that right now. Sorry. Maybe next week, though. Maybe next week. Sophia also says, hi, Penny. Hello, little Penny. She wishes you hi. Sophia NYC also says, Omer, can we talk about Mac Jones on how he's improved since the Crimson Tide? Oh, since the Crimson Tide, him leading the Pats got so much similar as Brady. Yeah, so I mean, no, there are a lot of similarities with Mac Jones and Tom Brady in that, they're very efficient, effective football players, probably land on more so the game managing side, and especially early on in their careers, running the same system in New England. I think there are a lot of similarities. And Mac Jones is a guy who I thought, and I'll admit it, I was wrong about in the whole draft process. I thought he was I thought he needed a lot around him to really be successful. Granted, the Pats have a great infrastructure for him and set him up for success, but I did not think he'd be playing as well as he is right now, and that's on me. Mac Jones is doing great, and I'm glad he is. And he really has improved. He's improved greatly. The biggest improvement I've seen comparatively for him in college versus him in New England, which was the biggest adjustment he had to make, was making that second, third read, like going through his progressions. That was one thing in college that worried me because a lot of times, and it's easy to do when you're playing at Alabama and you got Jalen Waddle to throw the ball to, and you got other guys like Devontae Smith to throw the ball to. It's very easy to just be like, "Gee, they down there somewhere, right?"
And Henry Ruggs.
And Henry,
Sorry,
we'll talk about him. We'll talk about him in a second, unfortunately. But it's easy to just do that, and that's one thing that that was a huge question for me. But he's done a great job. Justin Fields, by the way, also did a great job without Matt Nagy. I don't usually call for people to be fired on the show, but fire Matt Nagy, please, for Justin Fields' sake. Like, dude, Matt Nagy. You just have to get him off the sidelines. And look what happened. Justin Fields looks like a competent quarterback. Oh, my God, Andrew. Guess what they did, though? They decided to run the ball and get him outside the pocket.
What?
Wait
a second. A team with a very bad offensive line who has been trying to succeed with a pocket passer quarterback for the last how many years drafts a playmaking quarterback with the ability to run and throw, but they've been literally only utilizing half of his skill set. Wait, you're telling me they finally actually utilized Justin Fields' biggest strength? It took them how long to realize what they had?
Well, it's week 8? Holy shit! It took them half the season to figure this out. Oh my God, they don't deserve Justin Fields. They definitely don't. You also, you know what? You know who else did that same thing too this week that pissed me off? The Eagles. It's like literally the same situation. Fucking Sirianni's out there like, oh, you got the roots of the tree, and we're planting the tree, and we're gonna work through the roots, and we're gonna water it, and we're gonna just run the ball, Nick. Just run the fucking ball. Jesus.
That's
if you're
one
a
thing
team,
Jalen Hurts, it's like you have they basically have a running back at quarterback, and they don't use it. How do these men have jobs?
Andrew, you and I are not football geniuses, all right? We're not out here with the X's and O's going spider too wide banana. Oh, I'm canceled now. But spider too wide banana, all this shit. But even you and I know, young quarterback, bad defense, generally bad team. Run the ball. It's not a hard equation to figure out, but for some of these coaches, I feel like they're trying to do shit just to justify their job sometimes. Especially Sirianni. Sirianni needs to justify his job. I don't understand.
One thing about Sirianni that you have to understand is that despite the failures of the team, he does remind us every week how much of an offensive genius he is. I'm quoting Sirianni himself. Did you not see how many 2-point conversions they have converted over the past couple weeks? Because he's a fucking genius. That's why.
I don't even know how to address that. Like Nick Sirianni, like how did he get the job? Like, is he just like another young hire because of like the whole what's it called the whole
Frank Reich.
Frank Reich? He was Frank Reich. He was Frank Reich. He was under. He was under Frank Reich. He was the
Frank Reich.
offensive coordinator with Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett calling all those amazing plays for them. And then he was with San Diego before that. So okay, cool, good for him. I'm just saying.
The Eagles have been doing. The Eagles and the Colts have just
They-
been trading personnel the past couple of years. That's all they've been
Oh
doing.
my God, what idiots! They fired the coach that brought them the Super Bowl because all he said was, "Hey, so the management fucking stinks, all right, and I'm trying to like win. So why don't you just give me some leverage here and allow me to pick some players?" And then the owner's just like, "Yeah, no, you're fired." Boom. Dude, I'm telling you, when God, the Eagles are just. I'm so glad I'm not an Eagles fan. Some more comments here in the chat. Sophia says, "Penny, I hope you have been having a great day with my friend Omer. He sometimes can be too much, but has a heart like a star's." Okay, thank you. That was very nice. Thank you. Andrew, do I give you a hard time? Do I give you a hard time? I was gonna say, I was like, am I like okay? Anyway, all right. Let's move on. On a bit more of a serious note. Let's move on to a more serious thing. Let's move on to the situation with Henry Ruggs, and it's a developing situation, a horrible situation actually. Again, in some horrible news, a woman is dead after Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs was driving under the influence and struck her in a car in the early morning hours of November 2nd. According to the police reports, Ruggs was driving under the influence and was arrested in relation to this event. He was going 156 miles per hour and was under the influence of alcohol, obviously. He posted bail this week. The Raiders have officially released him, so former first-round pick, not on the team anymore, and you could imagine why. He's probably definitely has other things on his mind. Obviously, I just want to be clear, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the deceased. Andrew, this is a horrible situation and a situation that, we hate to find anyone in, but, what do we kind of make of this? What was your reaction to this horrible news?
I don't even know where to start. I mean, I would make a Raiders joke, but like, it's not even like but between the shit with Gruden, now, Ruggs was an up and coming, like kind of star for them. Like any big plays that they've made in the past couple of years, it's like, Ruggs is a big play kind of dude. Like he runs like a 4.2. The Raiders, I mean, on both ends, the Raiders lost a very talented player, but at the same time, like you got to exercise better judgment there, dude. Like you have enough money in the bank to be able to not only
call an Uber,
but I was reading somewhere today where the NFL actually has an agreement with Uber where their players actually could call an Uber and the NFL will pay for it. So it wasn't even coming out of his own pocket. And the fact that he chose to drive under the influence, I can understand, driving under the influence isn't good, but 150 miles an hour, dude, most highways like that, the speed limit's 65, 70. More than double the speed limit and under the influence, like, you got to exercise better judgment to that. And, I don't even know if I can chalk it up to immaturity. It's like, he's got to have better people around him. He's got to exercise better judgment. I mean, his career might be over unless, the Miami Dolphins seem to have a thing for them players with those red flags. So,
I mean, it's a horrible situation because at the end of the day, football is like one of the situations where football doesn't even really matter. Like someone lost their life because of this. Like it is, and obviously there wasn't malicious intent on behalf of Henry Ruggs. He wasn't trying to go out there and kill somebody, but it's also just like you said, terrible judgment. And as far as like what we can kind of take away from this, or what like young players or any player can kind of take away from this, it's just exercise better judgment. Andrew, you and I are young, fairly young, like we're mid-20s. And we know that, in those types of situations, it's best to just call an Uber. It's best to just get away from those types of situations because it's not worth the risk of hurting someone else. It's not worth the risk of hurting yourself, and by hurting yourself, you're hurting your loved ones as well. And unfortunately, now Henry Ruggs in a situation where football and probably should be the last thing on his mind. He's in a situation where he's facing the legal process now, and I think if anything comes of this needs to be an example for all young players, whether you're playing the NFL, NBA, lacrosse. I don't care what you're playing. All young people, man, just take the extra few minutes. Take the extra $10, whatever it is, and call the Uber. Because look, in this case, man, like the car is gonna be there tomorrow. You can leave the car there; it'll be there tomorrow. You can come pick it up. But that person who obviously was killed in this incident, they're not here. They're not going to be there tomorrow because of his actions. And I'm not trying to pile on. He's got enough going on. But man, all you can hope for is that whatever happens, he finds some sort of redemption in some way, and the everyone can and hopefully move to like live with the situation and learn from it, and younger people can learn from it. Obviously, like it's just there's terrible
no
situation.
Dude, me and you don't have the kind of money that he has, and yet we still can call an Uber. There's no excuse for this. Not for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, and like as far as like oh, can he come back? Like I mean, this is like, could he come back? If we're gonna talk about that, sure, he could. Dante Stallworth was in a similar situation, different circumstances, but a similar situation, and he ended up coming back after a few years. But I think, again, football should probably be the last thing on Henry Ruggs' mind. And he's got to deal, and like think about that too. Like you're not just dealing with the fact that the legal process going on; it's also the fact that someone is dead because of your actions, and I can't imagine what that is like on a person. You just can't imagine. But yeah, yep. So anyway. Let's go to the chat real quick, where Sophia is saying, personally, I think he's going to jail for a long, long time. Somebody's going to have to do time. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. I don't know what it'll be, but, I just hope people are better for learning from it. That's honestly what I hope from this situation. And she also says it's super, super terrible. Yes, it is super terrible. Again, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone affected by this tragedy. Guys, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Last thing from Sophia says, I'm in my lower 20s as well, and having fast cars nowadays, a lot of youngins get so addicted from showing off, but this is a situation he could get jail time for. Yeah, he could. Anyway, so Andrew, let's kind of shift gears. Don't really have a really good transition for that, but let's shift gears and talk about something that we've talked about on the show actually before, and it has to do with Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, and the city of St. Louis. The saga continues for good old Stan Kroenke, and it's only getting worse from here because, Andrew, when I tell you about this, you're just going to be like, what the fuck? So, let's get into it. According to reports from ESPN, the Los Angeles Rams' owner, Stan Kroenke, might not honor an agreement made with the NFL that would have him pay the legal fees between the lawsuit between the NFL and the city of St. Louis. Kroenke had previously been required to pay tens of millions of dollars in legal fees incurred by the NFL and the 32 owners. Because of this lawsuit, the Rams, the Chargers, and the Las Vegas Raiders signed an agreement as part of the Rams relocation a few years ago. The lawsuit from the city of St. Louis says that in 2017, St. Louis's city and county governments, along with the public entity that owns the Dome in St. Louis, sued the NFL and its franchises. They did so as a third-party beneficiaries of the league's relocation policy, asserting that an enforceable legal interest in the policy's execution. What that means, for people who don't know, is that basically the Rams and Stan Kroenke and the NFL broke their agreement with the city of St. Louis when they moved to Los Angeles. St. Louis holds the NFL owners liable as well for allowing this move. Kroenke and the NFL could be on the hook for billions of dollars if this lawsuit is successful. And even if they settle, Andrew, they could be on the hook for a shit ton of money. And now Stan Kroenke is reneging on an agreement with the NFL, reportedly, for paying all their legal fees and essentially putting a lot of the owners in harm's way. Andrew, you and I have talked about this before. How does Stan Kroenke come away looking like this? Because it can't be good.
No, it can't be good. Are you kidding me? As much as I have a vendetta with the city of St. Louis for what they did to me in 2006 and before that in 1999, this is not a good look for Kroenke at all, dude. Especially like he can't go anywhere from here. Like, there's no way to go from here. He's gonna have to own up to it. It looks like they already have, and there's gonna have to be the repercussions. That's that plain and simple. I mean, he just, I don't know how every other team in the NFL just said, yeah, sure, do it. Yeah, sure.
Well, the thing is, dude, now all these teams are coming out. Like Jerry Jones, who was very much in favor of this move happening, and who actually helped negotiate this move, even he's coming out, reportedly, and angry at Kroenke for putting the NFL owners on the hook when Kroenke said that he would be the one to pay these legal fees and pay all the damages. And now the NFL could be potentially on the hook for billions of dollars. And I want to also make something clear. Stan Kroenke, by the way, guys, for those of you who don't know, Stan Kroenke is the most wealthy owner in the NFL. He is worth tens of billions of dollars. So, and a lot of these other owners, yes, that's a lot of money. They won $2 billion, but they don't have the resources that this guy does, and him having those resources, it was agreed upon that he would be kind of taking those legal fees on, and now he has basically most of the ownership group mad at him, and it's not a good look for him, I think, and his credibility amongst owners. There's also the caveat, about how the NFL might look for this, and look, we want to say, the Rams moving to LA was great. They have a great stadium, all that stuff, right? And they went home to LA, right? But man, it's not a good look for the NFL. I think the way they allowed this to happen, because they allowed the Rams to essentially and Kroenke to break their lease with the city. How do we know that's not going to happen to another team anytime soon, where the NFL is just going to allow it to happen? It sets a slippery slope. Andrew, hey man, the Titans. Who knows, man? Who knows?
Nah, Mama ain't moving us out. Mama Amy's not moving us out. It's her kids I worry about. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Mama ain't moving us out of there.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the NFL looks bad too. The other thing that Mike Florio actually talked about this on his show, Andrew, and he said that in lieu of with Chris Sims, but he said that in lieu of potential monetary finances in the settlement, there could be a potential scenario where we could see an expansion franchise. Will St. Louis get an expansion franchise as part of a settlement or a deal in this lawsuit, which would be insane, because I don't think St. Louis is high on anyone's list of where they want an expansion franchise, unless you're in St. Louis. But what do you kind of make of
there too, by the way?
Yeah. What do you kind of make of that potential of them having an expansion franchise instead of the billions of dollars?
That kind of would be cool. I mean, it would be cool. It would create opportunities for more players and everything like that. But then they'd essentially, because there has to be an even number of teams, there'd have to be another expansion franchise in the league too, though. You know what I mean? Because there wouldn't have to be more, actually, because what's cool about the current NFL is every division has 4 teams. Giving that one city a team would be cool, but then they'd have to give another city a team,
Yeah, because then
cool.
and then there wouldn't really be a way to split it up, because then you'd have 17 teams in each conference.
Exactly, and then you know what I mean. Then
man, you're bringing back the days of the AFC Central, Andrew. We'll be division rivals again, baby. Let's go.
Could you imagine, dude?
Could you imagine those Ravens Titans rivalries, man? Though that would be great. But I mean, look, I feel for the city of St. Louis because here's the thing. At the end of the day, and Andrew, you know this better than anyone. At the end of the day, the Rams never won a Super Bowl in Los Angeles. When they won the Super Bowl, they won it as the St. Louis Rams. So that team, you could argue, means a lot more to the city of St. Louis because of that championship than it does to the city of Los Angeles. Like, that's just the truth. And I think that, like, Los Angeles is a team that they've been fighting to try to get another football team. They've been fighting to keep their football team, and people felt bad for them. So I would like to see them get that, but if they don't, I think it could be bad for the NFL. The NFL could be on the hook again for billions of dollars. That is not the NFL, for as many resources they have. That's gonna be very bad for them monetarily.
1 yard, dude.
1 yard short, man. That's
yard,
oh man. Well, I mean, it's probably appropriate. Probably
1
appropriate.
yard, dude. Could you, dude? 1 yard. The Seahawks already had a Super Bowl when they chose not to run it at the 1 yard line.
That is like
We were
actually
1 yard short.
genuinely the saddest ending to a Super Bowl I've ever seen. Like actually, it was like, how are you 1 yard short? That's whack. That's utterly whack. Like, that should not happen.
That's Hollywood. That's a Hollywood ending right there. Like that's the team doesn't win the Super.
Well, you know, it's going to be a Hollywood ending too because that Kurt Warner movie's coming out soon. So you're gonna
I'm not
Andrew,
watching that shit.
Andrew, no. You're gonna relive it with me.
No, because
we're gonna watch that shit.
Let's say for all intents and purposes, right? This is the thing that's gonna blow me, right? If the Titans make the Super Bowl this year, you know what they're gonna do. They're gonna play the replay of the Music City Miracle.
Oh my God.
They're gonna do the replay of the Music City Miracle. They're gonna show us manhandling the Tom Coughlin-led 14-2 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
And then they're gonna show us against the greatest show on turf, and they're gonna highlight how Kevin Dyson was less than 3 feet from the end zone to end the game.
He reached, man, and he tried his best. He did everything he could.
And they're going to play that shit on loop. And there's going to be people who never knew that's how that Super Bowl ended. And they're going to sit there, they're going to say,
Andrew,
my God.
And you won't even escape it because even if you don't watch any of the build-up, even if you don't watch any of the pregame show, none of that,
they're still going to watch.
You're going to watch the game, and they're going to play that shit about 5-6 times. Oh, and if there's a 2-minute drill, they're going to play that like 6 times on that drive. And then watch that happen again. Like, oh, my God. Oh, God. All of this is making me want the Titans to go to the Super Bowl. And I'm a Ravens fan.
I'm telling you, man, Titans-Rams. Don't be surprised if it's Titans-Rams this year in the Super Bowl. This upcoming Sunday Night Football game, do not be surprised if that's the Super Bowl. Like I said before, I don't know if I said this at the beginning of the show. 1999, the Atlanta Braves went to the World Series, lost. A couple months later, Titans went to the Super Bowl, lost. Fast forward, 2021, Atlanta thought their season was over when the best player in baseball got injured, went to the World Series, won. Tennessee, best player in football got injured. You finish it.
Never lost.
Just saying.
Never lost.
I can't watch. If we go to the Super Bowl, I'm not watching the pregame show.
Well, you know, if they do go to the Super Bowl, Andrew, there's a good chance that you and I will be the pregame show for that Super Bowl. So, you know, do
you understand? Dude, every show on national television is going to replay that ending, and they're going to talk about how the last and only time we ever went to the Super Bowl, and they're going to say, the highlight's going to be Tennessee was literally 1 yard short of winning its only Super Bowl ever. And that's all you're going to hear about. And they're going to have Stephen A. shooting his mouth off. You're going to have Shannon Sharp shooting his mouth off. You're going to have all the geniuses shooting their mouths off.
I'll promise you this. Andrew, I'll promise you this.
I'm not even going to. I can already see Romo now. As we're kneeling the ball. Because it's going to come down to like a 4th down. It's going to. The way the game ended against Buffalo, where Josh Allen, 4th and 1 at the goal line, it's going to come down to something like that. We're going to get the stop. We're going to get it with like 9 seconds left. Tannehill's going to knee it. And then I can already hear Romo now saying they were 1 yard short last time. Let's see what happens this time. And I'm going to have to mute it. Well,
Andrew, don't you worry, because I'll promise you this. If the Titans make it to the Super Bowl, I will be there in person in New Jersey in the build-up to shelter you from that trauma.
That game's going to be at SoFi too, so it's only fitting. It's only fitting that we're going to get redemption against the Rams in their stadium. It's only fitting.
Well, if they do, maybe we can go to the game. I don't know how we get tickets, but hey, maybe by then I can swing media passes. Who knows? Who knows? Hey, man. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, guys, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Andrew, you know what? It's almost fitting that you went on a little Titans rant there because, my friend, you were about to go on another because this has been a wild, wild, wild week in Tennessee for all Titans fans and the Titans themselves as well. You all right?
Yes.
Is the anxiety of the Titans history getting to you again?
You know, Faith Hill sang the national anthem to the 1999 Super Bowl, and she owns the Titans. She's the owner of the Titans now.
Oh, that means she can't sing the. Oh, damn! No wonder she's not doing. I
think that's why they got rid of her from Sunday Night Football. I actually think that's why they got rid of her from Sunday Night Football.
Nah, bro. Faith Hill is the is waiting all day for Sunday night. That's all I care. That's the only one. That's the only one that matters to me. Hashtag not my song.
12 Hours anthem growing up.
Absolutely. Anyway, Andrew, some big news out of Tennessee. All-pro running back Derrick Henry is going to miss 6 to 10 weeks, likely the remainder of the regular season, with a Jones fracture in his foot. It is going to keep him out for the rest of the season, likely. And in order to remedy that, Adrian Peterson was signed to the Titans as a running back. And we know the Titans, they rely on Derrick Henry. He is probably their biggest weapon offensively, defensively, special team. Doesn't matter. He is their biggest weapon. He is sometimes their entire team, and he dictates how the team goes. You're a Titans fan.
Yes.
What is your reaction to this injury and the way the Titans have handled it?
So, first off, when I found out about the injury, and when I found out, I remember anyone who watched the game, we saw when he sustained the injury. It was early in the game. I want to say right around like the first, second quarter. It was before halftime. He did finish the game. He actually had a very big fourth down run where he ran it and literally ran through two people who were going to tackle him about 4 yards beyond the line to get. And he ran through two of them, reached his arm out, got us that first down, helped us drive down the field. He finished the game with an injury like this, so it just shows you he is a boss. That's number one. But when I found out about the injury, I was, like most Titans fans, was very upset. I was very upset because I just thought about how big of a part this man is to our team, to our offense, to what we do, and everything like that. And you know, the first thing that came to mind was, well, how do you replace Derrick Henry? Number one, you don't. You can't replace that. That's a defensive end that runs a 4-4 and runs through. You can't replace that. Like the fact that you could give him the 25 carries a game and everything like that. Like, not many running backs at that size could sustain that level every single game to where we are at this point of the season. That's number one. Or that was number two. Okay. With that being said, though, we did get the next closest thing, even though he is a couple of years past his prime, in Adrian Peterson. I'm not going to say Adrian Peterson is Derrick Henry, but Adrian Peterson did have a solid season last year with Detroit, and he's just going to steady, just keep us afloat until Derrick Henry comes back for the playoffs and everything like that. Listen, I've done the math. We only have, we're 7 games in. We have about 10 games left and everything. We just got to play 500 football. If we play 500 football, Indy has to win out. We just got to play 500 football.
And Carson Wentz is on the it just tested positive, so he might not play.
Ooh, we could see Jacob Eason.
Ooh, the kid, man. The kid. Good old Issa B. Anyway, but
so we have this division locked up.
You might, yeah.
Sources say surgery went well. We'll probably have him back for the playoffs, something like that. Are we going to hang on to that number 1 seed in the AFC? I don't know. We're going to see what happens this Sunday, because if we somehow go out there and win, which is very likely, the same way that the Jets beat the Bengals and the Jets beat the Titans, we could go out there and beat the Rams. Any given Sunday, anything is possible. So
I think we got your reaction as a Titans fan. You are
very upset.
You are upset. However, you are somewhat
optimistic.
positive. You're optimistic about the outlook. Look,
if you look
this
at our
is like-
schedule, dude,
and this is the most optimistic I've ever seen you about football.
We still play Jacksonville, Houston twice, and Miami. And on top of that, what is it? The Steelers. The Steelers. You don't know which Steelers team you're going to play week in and week out. So this is probably. I'm not gonna say this is going to be Tomlin's first losing. We can beat the Steelers. Okay, those games that we should win, we probably will win. Then after that, dude, I mean, who else do we have? The meat of our schedule is pretty much done. We go up to New England and everything like that. I think we could win there.
And then you got your divisional games, which are cakewalk.
And then we have our divisional games, which dude, we got like I just said, we got Jacksonville again.
But here's the thing, and I think this kind of comes into question about how you're gonna fare in like not those games against terrible teams, although even like you guys even were susceptible to terrible teams when you had Derrick Henry. I think the most important question for Titans fans and everyone to really look at is, like we know what AP's role is going to be. He's going to come in, get 15 to 20 touches, settle into that role, and be that guy who gets you about 4 yards a carry, who can do what he does. Cool. The bigger question is, with this Derrick Henry injury, can Ryan Tannehill rise to the occasion? Because AP is not going to dictate what they do. The defense, for as good as some of the pieces are, that secondary is a mess, but as good as some of the pieces are in that defensive front, look, let me finish.
Okay.
As good as some pieces are, this team is going to go in the regular season and potentially farther. We don't know what Derrick Henry's prognosis might be. We just saw Michael Thomas. Injury rehab did not go well for him. We never know what could happen.
That's another game we have.
But Andrew, I get you're excited. Just let me finish. Ryan Tannehill is going to dictate how far this team goes in the playoffs. He's going to dictate how far this team goes in the regular season and if they could actually stay afloat. And I think when Ryan Tannehill has had that on his back throughout his career and not had Derrick Henry, we've seen how that's gone. It has been either disappointing or it's left you wanting more. So my question to you is, as someone who's watched him, as someone who knows the pieces around him, without Derrick Henry, can Ryan Tannehill rise to the occasion and become the quarterback that this team needs at this moment?
Yes, because Derrick Henry did not have the best performances. But like I said, like people in the media have been saying it, Derrick Henry's presence changes the way you play defense. So even without Derrick Henry, I do think Tannehill will be capable. But a big thing we're going to need is A.J. Brown has been emerging. He's kind of like recently been playing like the player we expected him to be. We need Julio. We need Julio to come off the IR. We need the defense. Like we're getting Christian Fulton back this week. He's going to help us shore up the secondary. Chris Jackson's not going to get as many. He's not going to get as many assignments. Elijah Molden has come up big for us the last couple games. Kevin Byard's having an all-pro year this year. So, I think the defense will get better. Harold Landry, sign him right now. Show him the money right now because he's literally been the best linebacker. I understand they just got fucking the Rams just got fucking
Von Miller.
I understand they just got Von Miller. Listen, with the production that Harold Landry has had, technical difficulties, my bad. With the production that Harold Landry's had this year in terms of like just defensively getting to the quarterback and everything, the defense is going to be fine. The biggest thing on whether Ryan Tannehill is going to succeed without Derrick Henry is going to be the emergence of Julio. And he's got to be the guy that we traded for in order to make up for not having Derrick Henry.
And that's a big if, man, because Julio this year, he's just been injury prone and he's he's been like a secondary, dare I say, like kind of like third option for Tannehill this season, really, because he hasn't really been an option in some scenarios. With Ryan Tannehill, though, I think he can do well enough to keep them afloat in the regular season. However, if there's a situation where Derrick Henry is not available in the playoffs, I don't see Ryan Tannehill as being the guy who's going to uplift this team to victory. He's just not that guy. He has never been that guy, at least without Derrick Henry and that run game to support him. And that's the fact. You and I both know that. That's just true. Can Julio help? Yes. And if Julio is at 100%, I think it will make it easier for him to kind of fit into a role. I still don't think he's going to be that guy. And we're going to find out, though. This is going to be a huge test for Ryan Tannehill this Sunday. He's not going to have he's not going to have Derrick Henry. Adrian Peterson's not going to really be too much of a factor. He might have he's probably going to be on a pit. Oh yeah, he's going to be on a snap count. But he's going against a Rams team that not only has a high-powered offense and Cooper Kupp, who, by the way, no one's talking about it. This dude's on pace to break Calvin Johnson's single-season receiving record. They're not playing just a hot.
Christian Fulton will lock him down.
They're not just playing, the high-powered offense. Look at who they're going against on defense. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Jalen Ramsey, and that really good secondary to go along with Jalen Ramsey that the Rams have. My God, Ryan Tannehill's got his work cut out for him. And, hey, we talked about his contract. Remember, a few years ago, I told you there's going to come a time where he's going to have to put his money where his mouth is. It's time for Ryan Tannehill to finally earn that contract, man. If he can play well this Sunday, given the circumstances that they're in, I think he's worth the money that they paid for him. And that's a big thing for me to say.
Listen. If push comes to shove like that, we might need an extra week or two to give Derrick Henry some rehab and the playoffs are coming up. Hey, my man, you know what? We get on the phone and beast mode. We need that 1 yard.
More like feast mode, bro. Feast mode. That man's been eating. You see those Uber commercials where he's in?
Hey, listen, we can get him in shape. You get him working out with Julio. You get him working out with them boys. And I think DeMarco Murray. We get DeMarco Murray.
DeMarco Murray. That's a throwback.
We will talk about running back by committee. They will each split carries. Each of them.
My God. You gonna ask Marion Barber to come out of retirement too? Would you give a call to Ray Rice? Who's the other guy? Give Chris Chester, good old Chris Chester from the Bears, a call while you're at it. My
All
God.
of them. Yep. Hey,
Willis McGahee, where you at?
Hey, listen, if we need to figure out exactly what they're going to run on offense this weekend, it's very simple. They just didn't they release Deshaun Jackson? Just fuck it.
He's fast.
Just for this
He's
one
still
game,
fast.
if we need this offense, I just need to know the Rams playbook. That's it. That's some shit we would do. Just sign him. He'll give us a rundown on the playbook, and then we'll know exactly how to play them on offense.
And then bring him in as a coach, like a wide receiver's assistant or some shit. Yeah,
exactly.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. Guys, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Andrew, I'm gonna put you on a spot though. Do the Titans win this Sunday against the Rams? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And what's the score?
27-23.
All right, tight one. Is
They're going to go for that 2-point conversion.
Is it in SoFi?
It's in SoFi.
Of course, it's in SoFi. It's Sunday Night Football. They're not doing Sunday Night Football from Tennessee.
Hell no.
Y'all can have Thursday Night Football. No, not
Thursday
Sunday night.
And Monday night. We never get Sunday night. We never get football night in America from Nashville.
No, because Al Michaels has it written in his contract. He has a few certain states that he's not willing to go to. Hey, we're lucky, man. The only reason he likes to come to Baltimore is because we got good crab cake. That's the only reason. He's like, nah. If I can't get crab cake, there's no reason I'm coming to Baltimore for a game.
That's fine
anyway,
though. You know why?
Yeah.
Because when we get the CBS game of the week, Tony Romo has made it abundantly clear he fucking loves touching down in Nashville. When we get Romo and Nance on the call.
Oh my God, yeah, dude, I don't think the Ravens have had Romo and Nance on the call for like 3 years. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting. Like it's been just we just don't get them. We never get them. But hey, it is what it is.
Time games. You guys also get more.
That is true. I have seen Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth like a solid like 2-3 times a year, which is fine. Like, I love, dude. I mean, like I don't know. Like, okay, let's do this real quick. Ranking the top 3 ranking the top 3 football commentary teams. For me, it's easy. Like this is like very simple for me. Number 1, there is a reason they're called the best on TV. It's Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth. I know Chris Collinsworth gets a lot of shit for, his old sliding in and all his references and all that stuff.
That was a stupid play from a stupid player.
It's amazing, though. He's so real. Al Michaels too. When he's like calling the game too, I'm just like, man, like that's football right there. That's how football needs to be called. Like Al Michaels is like, if I had to create the perfect like play-by-play guy for football, it would be Al Michaels. So that's my number 1. For me, number 2, it's no problem being number 2. Tony Romo, Jim Nantz. Jim Nantz is fine. I love Jim Nantz. He's the voice of CBS. I grew up listening to him on those Ravens calls. Tony Romo just brings excitement that, hey, man, love Phil Simms, but he never had that level of excitement, that charisma. But that's my number 2.
And Romo will occasionally tell you what play is coming.
Exactly
He'll run coming. Left. You'll know. Romo knows. Romo knows before the defense knows what's about to happen. It's crazy up in the booth.
It's insane.
Romo will even look and he'll be like, they'll call it audible. He'll be like, oh no, it's a check. He'll be like, oh no, it's a check down. How did you know that? I saw where the safety was lined up. It's a check down. Yep, check down to the running.
Number 3. And this might be a little bit of a controversial one, but my number 3 commentary team, it's not Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. So anyone who thought I was going to say that, fuck right off. But it's the Monday Night Football team. I think what they got going right now with Louis Riddick, by the way, amazing. I love hearing his voice. Steve Levy, what a guy. That dude is like, I'm so glad they switched it to him. He has been the best since Mike Tirico. And hey, Brian Greasy, he's not great, but he's good. And I like that. Other than that, everyone else kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. Everyone else kind of sucks.
You know who I wish they'd bring back? He only calls college games now. Is
Kirk Herbstreit.
Gus Johnson.
Ooh, Gus Johnson, baby. Bring that. I don't understand. I don't get why he's not calling football like the NFL. I don't get it.
He's only doing college now. I don't know why.
He's so good. Man, and Kirk Herbstreit too, man. You already know. The day the day that Al Michaels or Chris Collinsworth goes away, you already know that he's getting a fat paycheck. From NBC to call Sunday Night Football.
I remember my favorite Al Michaels.
I mean, there's a bunch of Chris Collinsworth. I mean, my favorite Chris Collinsworth was there's a bunch of them, but I loved the
stupid play from a stupid player.
No, there was when he was dude. He keeps it so real. When the Eagles basically when they blatantly tanked to fuck over the Giants that last game of the season.
I've never seen anything like this.
He was literally like, he goes, I could not have done what they just did. He's like, what they just did was a disgrace to football. I could never have done it. You didn't see him shaking his head, but you're just like, as he's saying this, you can visualize him shaking his head the whole time while he's like, what they just did is a disgrace to football.
Oh my God. Oh, he is. What a guy, man. Yeah, again, gets a lot of shit for no reason. He's a great commentator. It's also, I think the feel of Sunday Night Football too, it just feels different. It feels different than anything else. It feels bigger. The orchestra, the intro, it's all better. The graphics all bigger. The old Key and Peele intros. Yo, who was that? Was it Jonathan Taylor? Was it Jonathan Taylor who was the guy? Remember, he said it was. I remember they were calling the game. It was the Ravens versus the Colts, and they were talking on the commentary how Jonathan Taylor told us he was so excited to be on Monday Night Football because he was finally going to get to do his player intro, and then we had to break it to him. Sorry, pal, that's Sunday Night Football. Because he wanted to do the whole Jonathan Taylor, but then he's like, oh, it's the wrong team.
Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez was my favorite with the player intros.
Yeah, I had to go.
I'm Tony Gonzalez from University of California.
Oh my God, no! Oh, I just remember one year, and this is kind of where Terrell Suggs just became a charismatic figure, Terrell Suggs just came out of nowhere. He's just like sizzle, ball so hard university, like out of nowhere, and it caught everyone but off guard. Like, what the fuck did he just say? Like, ball so hard. Like,
There was another one. I forgot. It was funny. He said like he was talking about
Rastafari.
No, there was one. He was just like, "Oh, Ike Taylor, swag."
Oh my God, no! There was like one. I think it was like the Packers or some team, like a few years ago, and they were literally just like it was just like David Bakhtiari, Old Mill Middle School. Like it was just like they were doing like middle schools and elementary schools and shit like that. It was like the funniest thing, man. Big shout out, man. Big shout out to Sunday Night Football. Al and Chris are in fact the best on TV. Fight me, fight me, fight me. Andrew, let's get to our final official topic for the day. Let's talk about this because I know you're gonna get riled up talking about this. I told you this would be a good. I told you this would be a good show for you to vent. This is a good show for you to vent.
This annoyed me. This annoyed me.
It annoyed everyone. Let's talk about it. The College Football Playoff Committee revealed their top 25 teams. We have the top 6 right here. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Alabama. Number 3, Michigan State. Number 4, Oregon, which means Ohio State and Cincinnati, who are 5 and 6 respectively, are left out of the top 4 in this initial ranking. Andrew, a lot of people have a problem with this because Cincinnati is on the outside looking in. Should Cincinnati be in the top 4?
Yes, I would argue Cincinnati should be in the top 4, given that Cincinnati might have, out of most of those teams in the top 4, the win over number 10 Notre Dame, probably the best win out of all those, pretty much out of all those teams. At Notre Dame, Indiana hasn't had the best season, but they did go and beat Indiana. What I really didn't like, though, was I get the head-to-head matchup, so I understand Oregon head-to-head beat Ohio State. The issue that I have is that what they're essentially setting up is Michigan State's undefeated. Okay, cool. But what they're doing is they're setting it up for when Michigan State loses to Ohio State, Michigan State's going to drop. Ohio State's going to go to the Big Ten Championship. As long as Ohio State wins out and beats Michigan State, they're going to get in. Oregon has to lose, but the only way Oregon can still get in unless they don't win the Pac-12, or if they lose, probably the only loss I could see them potentially having is Utah. That's it. And the thing that I don't appreciate is, because I'm not going to say I've seen it happen before, but you can already kind of see it happening, is Oklahoma's undefeated, sitting at 8-0, and I could definitely see the committee, if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship and then they both have one loss, the SEC is going to get 2 teams in. Ohio State, being a one-loss Big Ten champion, will get in, and Oregon, being a 2-loss conference champion or a 1-loss conference champion, they'll have to sweat it out against Oklahoma, who could be an undefeated conference champion, and Cincinnati's going to get fucked over.
Yep. And it's a shame, too, because I think we talked about that defense for Cincinnati. I don't care what you want to say about, the competition they're playing. They don't play any real teams, blah, blah, blah. You play who you play. And I don't care what you do. This defense against any offense in the entire NCAA, in the entirety of college football, they can go out there and hang with the best of them and give trouble to the best offense. Like, they could go up against Oklahoma, and I promise you, they would give Oklahoma fits. They would give them trouble. This defense is real. They could go up against Georgia, give them fits. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like we understand. I understand that the college football playoff is subjective in nature because you can't take win-losses into it, right? Like, okay, like SMU being undefeated is different than Alabama being undefeated. On a level, I get that. I don't like it, but I get it. But you gotta be real. Like, this Cincinnati is a real team. Everyone that knows anything about football knows it. And the fact that they're undefeated with a big win, like you said, against a great Notre Dame team, I don't get how they don't make it into the top 4. I just don't. Over a Michigan State team that we know eventually is going to lose. Okay, sure. But, like, they're not better than Ohio State at this point? Like, really? Like that irks me. I think you're right. I think they're going to end up being on the outside looking in, which is going to suck because it's going to be Oklahoma. The whole.
It's going to that final spot. That final spot, if all this holds, Georgia and Alabama. If Alabama beats Auburn, Alabama's going to go to the SEC championship. They're going to beat Georgia.
if they beat Georgia. The only way that they have to root for Georgia in that championship, because then that would knock Alabama out. Although I could see the committee just saying, fuck it, we'll put Alabama in anyway. They'll be the first 2-loss team to ever make it. But then it's going to come down to Oregon will be a 1-loss conference champion unless they lose to Utah. And then Oregon's going to be fighting it out with Ohio State and potentially Oklahoma. They're going to be fighting that out for the last spot, and Cincinnati's going to get fucked over.
This is ridiculous, right? What? Just expand the fucking playoff. It's ridiculous. Like, just expand it to 8 teams, man. There's no reason that Cincinnati should not get in if they win out. There is no reason they should not get in. It is going to be the Boise State effect all over. Boise State went undefeated basically for 3 years, and they didn't get shit. They didn't even sniff. They never even sniffed a shot at the championship game. Same thing happened to UCF a few years ago. And I think eventually there's got to be a reckoning with college football. Yes, we get the inherent SEC bias. Yes, we get the whole Big Ten bias. They recruit better talent, quote unquote, even though there's been a lot of great players, Andrew, that come out of Boise State, a lot of great players that come out of Cincinnati, a lot of great players that come out of some of these other schools. But hey, the bias exists. They got to get past it, expand the damn playoff to 8 teams.
And if anyone wants to make any arguments and anything like that, go back and watch the Georgia-Cincinnati game from last year. Georgia beat Cincinnati by 1 on a field goal. A Georgia team, which I found out today, I was listening to Joel Klatt. Georgia has more 5-star players on their roster than both the ACC and Pac-12 combined.
Yep.
They have more 5-star recruits on their roster than 2 of the other power conferences combined. So Cincinnati can play with a team like that. And they proved it last year.
Absolutely. And look, and their schedule coming up, it's not going to help them, unfortunately. In the eyes of the almighty committee, whoever they may be, they're playing. They're playing Tulsa, South Florida, SMU, which is probably going to be their most impressive win if they can win that game. Then good old East Carolina. I feel so bad for East Carolina, man. They're like the most generic ass team you face just to beat. Like that is the team you schedule just to beat them.
Listen,
But
those corners on Cincinnati. I've watched Cincinnati. I've watched pretty much every Cincinnati game this year. Desmond Ridder. I'm not gonna say Desmond Ridder is a surefire, top 5 pick, but Desmond Ridder could potentially. Kenny Pickett, who's moved up the boards, the draft boards, and to be a first rounder. I'll tell you right now, as good as people might say, Desmond Ridder is better than Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett went to the same middle school as me. I should have bias towards him. He literally grew up in my county, 15 minutes from where I live. Desmond Ridder is a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, and he's going to show it at the next level.
Andrew, if you had to rank these teams 1 to 6, if you had to rank these teams 1 to 6, what would your ranking be? Who gets in, who gets out right now?
If I had to put them in, honestly, dude, Georgia proved they're number 1. That's the best defense in college football. Georgia proved they're number 1. Offense has come along. Number 2, I wouldn't necessarily say Alabama at number 2. I would maybe put Michigan State only because they're undefeated. They did just come off a top 10 win against Michigan. But like I told you, they're going to get dropped out once they go to Ohio State and lose. I think Ohio State is a little high, given that their wins have not necessarily been great wins, and their one loss did come to Oregon, but that's a bad loss, dude. In college football, where you win and where you lose, that's a big deal. That win for Oregon should help Oregon a lot more than it should. No, it should hurt Ohio State a lot more than it helps Oregon, because you're a big-time program. Losing on your home field, I watched Ohio State a few years ago get left out because they lost to Oklahoma on their home field. So that should work against you. 3, I put Cincinnati for being undefeated, and then number four, I'd put Oklahoma as the other undefeated team, and then Ohio State and Oregon, they can a rematch in the Rose Bowl. They can have a rematch in the Rose Bowl.
Yep. Number one Georgia, number 2 Alabama. For right now, like you said, number 3 Michigan State, number 4 deserves to be Cincinnati, no question about it. And then I wouldn't even put Oregon number 5. I would put, like you said, I would put Oklahoma number 5 because they're undefeated and they're fucking Oklahoma. No, they're number 5. And then And then I don't care. You can put Oregon, Ohio State until Ohio State gets their win back in Michigan. And if they don't, okay, cool. Then Ohio State's not as good as we thought they were.
Yeah.
One other team though that I want.
If Michigan beats Ohio State, because I looked at the schedule.
Mhm.
If Michigan beats Ohio State, Michigan's going to go to the Big Ten championship. We'll probably win it because the Big Ten West is so bad this year. Wisconsin and Iowa are not as good as they were in the beginning of the season. If Michigan State does win out, they get in. Ohio State, though, Ohio State has to drop below Cincinnati because that would be their second home loss of the year. I don't give a fuck that they came to 2 ranked opponents and everything like that. Cincinnati's win at Notre Dame should help them. It should help them. Ohio State losing 2 games at home, 2 home games, that's Ohio State. When you're a team like that, you don't lose home games. You can't lose home games.
And I just very quickly want to shout out a team that is definitely not going to get any love from the committee. And look, their schedule I kind of get, but also Wake Forest. I know they're in the ACC. I know they don't have the best competition. They have been steamrolling teams though. They definitely should be, I think, above 9. I genuinely think they're probably better than a Michigan team that has 1 loss at this point. I think they're better than Michigan at this point. But there's a lot of good teams, and I think it just, again, expand the playoff to 8 teams, and this wouldn't be an issue. This really wouldn't be an issue because then you would have the leverage to put a team, definitely like Cincinnati, in the college football playoff to compete for a title.
Yeah, dude. It's, you know what it is? You know what they're doing is they're looking the factors that they're using to create this stuff is they're looking at stuff like the recruiting rankings. They're looking at
it's so that's like the dumbest thing. I'm like, look at the players and look at who they're beating. That's it.
That's it. I mean, Alabama, like the argument I heard for Alabama today was you put Alabama on a neutral site against any of these teams, Alabama beats them. That's
Yet they have a
fine.
loss.
Listen,
Yet they have a loss.
Listen. The year that Florida State won the national championship in 2013, 2014, Jimbo Fisher admitted that Alabama team would have beaten his quote-unquote historically dominant Florida State team because he looked at his roster, he looked at their roster, and he said, they're better than us. But that on a field, you could say, put the 2 teams on a field, who wins? Okay, you put any team on a field against Alabama, you could say Alabama wins. The fact of the matter was the teams didn't play. So you got Auburn played Florida State instead of Alabama. Florida State won the national championship. That's the argument that I hear. You can't use that argument every single year to be like, oh, Alabama has to get in because if I put Alabama up against Michigan State, Alabama will be a 17-point favorite. If I put them up against Cincinnati, they'll be a 22.5-point favorite. You could say that about Alabama versus any team, though. But that's not what the argument is. When you look at resumes and stuff like that, it's not just, Alabama has this many first-rounders, this many 5-star players on their team, so therefore, even though they don't have as nice of a resume and they're not undefeated, we're going to put them in anyway because head-to-head, we think Alabama will beat this team.
And you want to know how subjective all of this really is, Andrew? I'm going to read out the top 5, the AP, the Associated Press top 25 teams. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Cincinnati. Number 3, Alabama. Number 4, Oklahoma. Dude, it's all subjective. And the fact that we're letting one committee that generally people disagree with when it comes to a lot of fans, a lot of analysts even disagree with, they need to figure out something different, man. I don't know, and they also got weird people on there, like Condoleezza Rice is she's the former Secretary of State of the United States is somehow on this thing. I'm not saying she's not I'm just saying if she can be on there, she can be on there. I think you and I got a chance, man. You and I definitely got a chance.
Condoleezza Rice probably can't name a single quarterback on the teams in the top 4. I can't tell you who the quarterback of Michigan State is.
No. I mean, she definitely knows about football. The Browns were looking at her for the GM position a while back. You remember that? That was wild. Could you imagine?
But that's the Browns.
That would be. I'm not gonna lie to you. That would be a tough. As much as I don't like Condoleezza Rice in person, but that would be a tough resume. It's like Secretary of State, United States, GM for the Cleveland Browns. That would be tough. That would be tough. But hey, it'd be like that. Speaking of the Browns, Andrew, What do you make of the whole Odell situation?
Odell's
O-
being a diva.
I'm just saying, man. No, come on. You have OBS, Odell Beckham Sr., calling out the Baker Mayfield, saying that his son's wide open, which he is a lot, and isn't throwing him the ball. And now Odell is excused from practice for a private matter. He still wants to play. There's talks that he might get released, and it just seems like Odell and Baker, for whatever reason, they have just not worked together. Those two have not been on the
Odell
same
and Baker-
page.
Have Odell and Baker played enough games to be able to create?
It's
any
also a
type of
good
chemistry,
question.
Though?
It's also a
have
good
they played
question.
enough games together to be able to? I mean, how many games has Odell missed the past couple of years since Baker's been their quarterback? Just because Odell he physically hasn't been able to play.
A lot.
Landry, if he's throwing a Jarvis Landry and he's throwing a Peoples Jones because those guys can stay on the field and he can create that chemistry, it kind of is what it is. Like, yeah, you could blame Baker. He's missing him. He's missing him when he's open and everything like that. I get that. But if they haven't created that kind of chemistry because Odell just hasn't been able to play enough for them to kind of create that chemistry, whether on the field, in the game, or in practice, then you really you can't get it. It's a two-way street. Like Odell is also to blame for not being on the field.
Yeah. That's a fair criticism, especially considering, like, Baker got him the ball in their first year in Cleveland. Like, first year, Odell played all 16 games, and he had over 1,000 yards. I think he only had like 3 or 4 touchdowns. But they seemed fine, and they seemed like they had something to build on. But since then, even in the small sample size Odell has played, though, I think it has become apparent that for whatever reason, Baker just doesn't or can't get him the ball. And it's weird sometimes because you do see Odell kind of streaking sometimes, which is crazy. It might just be a thing where maybe it's a thing where Odell or Baker doesn't want to play with him or doesn't want to throw the ball to him. I doubt that's the reason because I don't think Baker Mayfield is that kind of guy. I also think Odell is kind of past the point where he's not running routes because obviously he's running successful routes. He's open. So I don't think it's like a personal issue between them. I think it's just more so what the offense has evolved into. I think Baker just has. I think he likes shorter, faster receivers rather than bigger targets. He likes people he can get the ball to quicker. Odell's a bigger body, but they also don't run the right routes with him sometimes. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. All I do know is that, man, I'm just saying, if Odell Beckham Jr. gets cut by the Browns this year and winds up on the Chiefs, man, I am we are starting a petition. Like, the Chiefs can no longer, they need to be banned from trades. They need to be banned from picking up free agents. Like it is just, if Odell Beckham Jr. after all this shit winds up on the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm done with football. Like, legitimately, I'm done with football.
Yeah.
Welcome to Real Take Vent Talk with Andrew and Omar Qureshi. Andrew, how are the I fucked that whole thing up. Andrew, how are the Knicks doing?
We are down 6 right now with 2:46 left in the third quarter. Tell you what, Indiana has shot the lights out from 3 tonight. They've been literally every time I look up, I'm seeing Indiana fucking swish a 3. We did fight back, though. We were down by about 16 at one point. We did fight back. RJ Barrett's got 21.
Yep.
RJ Barrett has been balling the fuck out. If New York is going anywhere, I saw somebody the other day, or maybe it was today, Mike Woodson, former coach of the New York Knicks, did mention, now Indiana University basketball coach, did mention that the Knicks will, as much as Julius Randle's key, the Knicks will only go as far as RJ Barrett can take them because his growth is literally the difference between the Knicks being a first-round potential exit or them getting to an Eastern Conference Finals, because that's just one additional scorer that you have. You already have Fournier. You already have Julius Randle. You already have Kemba Walker. And, you bring in a guy like R.J. Barrett, who still has exponential, he still has so much room to grow, being 21 years old, establishing himself as one of the best defensive players in the entire NBA. You go along with all defense and a guy that can give you 21, 22, 23 points a night. The Knicks are going places with that.
Okay.
I'm proud of him.
All right, Andrew, I'm going to get you on record for this. Who goes to the NBA NBA Finals prediction? Who wins? Who are the two teams?
The New York Knicks and the you know what? I would go out on a limb and I would say coming out the West, so I'm gonna say Knicks Warriors.
Knicks Warriors. See, I like the Warriors, man. I think they got depth. That team has depth. And if Clay can come back, and he doesn't even need to be 100% of what he used to be because his game doesn't really dictate too much. Never really needed athleticism to be Clay Thompson, like because he was never like gonna be like that guy who just dunks and he's just a spot up shooter. I think if they get Clay Thompson back and keep playing the way they are, and Wiseman and all these guys develop, and Steph just does what he does, they are gonna give the Lakers a run for their money. For sure.
The Lakers have a lot of questions to answer. Like number one, the Lakers have to figure out how are the Lakers with a bunch of 36 and 37-year-olds who don't want to run up and down the court. How are they going to keep up with a team like Oklahoma City or Sacramento, where the dudes are all our age and those dudes can run forever? How are the Lakers gonna do that?
Can I ask you a question?
Stop.
If LeBron James was on this show right now, what would you say to him?
I need some bread.
Oh, yes, he does. Yeah, and I think we all do. And if you want to give Andrew some bread, if you want to give me some bread, buy us a cup of coffee. Head on over to patreon.com/Real Take Sports. Become a patron. Help out the show. If you also just want to help the channel grow, which will eventually, hopefully, one day, inshallah, lead to bread, hit that like button. Smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos release. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Keep the conversation going on Twitter at Real Take Sports. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, at Real Take Sports Talk. Check out Real Take Sports Talk every single Wednesday, hopefully. Check out Real Take Wrestle Talk. If you're a wrestling fan, we talk AEW, WWE, all that jazz on Real Take Wrestle Talk Tuesday nights. Also, we got a bunch of live streams, all that kind of stuff in between. So much fun, so much time, 62 episodes. Andrew, final thoughts.
Bet the house on Dallas this weekend.
Really? Bet the house on Dallas? Who are they playing?
That's a good question. Why do I feel like they're playing the Eagles?
Did you just say bet the house on Dallas? Oh, they're playing the Broncos. Yeah, bet the house on Dallas.
Yeah, bet the house on Dallas.
Bet the house on Dallas. They're playing the Broncos without Von Miller. Bet the house on Dallas. All right,
bet the
cool.
house on Dallas. That's it.
I can totally co-sign. Hell, bet the house on Dallas for the next couple of weeks. I'm looking at their schedule right now. It only goes up from here. You got the Broncos, the Falcons after that, the Chiefs on Thanksgiving.
Without Dak, I don't know. With Dak, it's a done deal. Without Dak, I don't know.
Oh no, Dak's gonna be back by that Chiefs game. He's gonna be back by Thanksgiving. And then it gets a little harder.
Watch this whole thing be so fucked up. Like, people are sitting up here like, oh, this is a lost season for Kansas City. I'm like, no, this is because watch Kansas City get a top 5 pick. Watch them draft like the next fucking, like, they'll draft like Derek Stingley, the cornerback out of fucking LSU. Yeah. They'll still have the offense. Now they'll have an actual lockdown corner to somewhat shore up their suspect defense. And then watch them win fucking 14 games next year.
It's very possible. Anyway, I already did the outro, though. Glad to hear from Andrew's final thoughts. Until next time, guys, keep it real.